Hello, geometry students. Today we're going to talk about uh, uh, geometry lesson 1.6, parallel and perpendicular lines. So one of the things we learned in the very first problem was we were introduced to transformations. Transformations is the process of moving one shape to another location. So this process may use something called translation, when you just move it left to right or up and down. A reflection, when it's like a mirror, it just kind of flips. And then there's also rotations. We're going to be discussing this more later on in our course. So the next question, they said, okay, we're going to try to create perpendicular lines through a line and through a particular point. Now you might remember a few days ago we constructed a perpendicular line through a point that was on the line. Okay, so now we're going to do it perpendicular through a point that's not on the line. So step one is I'm going to get my compass. I'm going to put the sharp point at C, and I'm going to draw an arch. Gosh, I hope you have better luck than me. Okay, there we go. So I've drawn an arch, and I've found 2 points that are an equal distance away from C because they have the same radius, right? So I've got 2 points that are an equal distance away from C. And now I'm going to take my compass and I'm going to make a perpendicular bisector. So now I'm using the same radius, and then I'm going to this other point and I'm going to draw my arches. And now I've got 2 new points. Well, I've got this new point and point C, and if I draw a line with my ruler through C and this new point, we will find that this new line is perpendicular. Okay, then the next question in our notes we did said to bisect line AB, label the midpoint C, then bisect the new line and label the midpoint B. All right, so let's do that. So in order to bisect this, I need to have 2 circles, arches that cross each other. So I need to make this longer than halfway. So I'll just make this. Okay, I'm making my arch, and it's longer than halfway. Okay, that might make it easier to see. Okay, so I drew this arch and made it longer, or made an arch. And now I make this arch, and so these arches have the same radius from each other, but they were longer than the midpoint, so I could get 2 intersections, one intersection there, one intersection there, and I am going to use those 2 intersections to help me draw my line and cut it in half, and I'm going to label this C. Okay, now I'm going to bisect AC. I'm going to cut this line in half. So I'm going to get my sharp point. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. And I'm going to draw an arch here. And I'm going to draw another arch here. And where those 2 lines intersect, right here and right there, I'm going to draw a line. And basically I've cut AC in half, and we're labeling this point D. Okay, now let's answer this question. How much smaller is AD than AB? So from A to D, that length is the same as this length, right? These 2 orange lines are the same length. And wouldn't you say that this length right here that I've highlighted in brown is the same length as these 2 orange ones put together? So we would eventually be able to say, how much smaller is this? Well, AD is 1/4 the length from A to B. Okay, so you may want to pause and think about why AD would be 1/4 of AB. Okay, let's move on. And throughout my videos, you may want to hit pause and think about it, or hit play it again to see what's going on. Okay, now, this next problem says, construct a line parallel to M through point C. Okay, so to make parallel, just a little sketch. Parallel means the lines are going the same direction. Okay, so how am I supposed to do that? Well, we know how to make perpendicular lines, right? So let's make a perpendicular line through point C. Okay, we just did this a second ago, so I'm going to draw an arch. I've got these 2 points right here where the arch crosses line M, and then from there I'm going to make a perpendicular line, drawing my arches. All of these arches have the same radius, and where they cross, I'm going to make this line. I'm going to make it a little longer, just so I've got my orange line. Now I'm going to turn my paper sideways. Okay, and I'm going to make a perpendicular line to this, through this point. So, just like before, I'm going to have the sharp point here at C, and if I draw this, so I'm drawing a circle from point C, and what I've just done is I've created 2 points an equal distance away from C. So these blue points, I guess it doesn't look so blue, are an equal distance away from C. Now I'm going to use my sharp point, and I'm going to need to make the radius a little bit bigger. And so here we go. And then I'm going to go to this other blue point. I'm going to make the radius just a little bit bigger. And where those 2 radiuses, so the arches that I just drew, because now it's kind of complicated. The arch that I just drew, this one here from point B, and this one here, these yellow arches came from these points. Okay, and now I'm going to connect these red dots together. And so I've just made a perpendicular line through the orange line, and that perpendicular line to the orange line is going to be parallel to the black line. So in summary, here's what we've just done. We followed a sequence of steps. The first thing we did was we made a perpendicular line through point C on line M. Then the second thing we did is we made a second perpendicular line to our new perpendicular line, which created a parallel line to point M. Please pause and play back as many times as you need until you understand this. Thank you for watching.